So today we're going to do something a little different. As you know, so much is going on in the world right now with COVID-19. So a lot of people are talking about big businesses and how there's been bailouts for them. I am going to take you through the step-by-step guide for small businesses and some individuals. So today we're going to go through the COVID-19 CARES Act that was just put out in the United States by Congress and signed by the president into law on Friday, March 13th, or whatever that day was. And what I really wanted to do was to break this act down for the small businesses and for individuals, because a lot of people are spending a lot of time talking about big businesses and people who have access to someone to break this down for them. So I want to be here to break this down for people who do not have access to it. All right, so as we discussed, we're going to talk about the CARES Act, which stands for the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. You'll probably hear a lot about this. If you have not already, then it's just circulating and circulating. So lots of information there. All right, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is the economic stimulus package. You've probably seen a lot about this. People were already making memes and jokes and stuff about this along the way, but it was definitely included as a part of the act. And as you notice, there's going to be a section number that's going to be listed on each one of my slides. That section number corresponds to the act, because I am a CPA. I've read the 800-page act, but I am not at liberty to offer legal and CPA accounting advice because I don't know your situation personally. So I'm going to kind of summarize little pieces of the act, but as a disclaimer, you have to do your own thing and do some research. But so I wanted to make it a little bit easy for you by providing that section information. All right, so economic stimulus, that is basically everybody in the United States who has filed taxes in 2019. So that means you filed your tax return this year for last year. Or if you have not filed your taxes yet this year, then they will do it based on your 2018 taxes. And basically that is to say that if you are single, you will get $1,200. They're going to send it to you in the same method that you've filed. So if you got an electronic refund or you provided your electronic information, then you should get it deposited into your account. If not, then they're going to send a check to the address that you used on your tax return. All right, so the way this works, basically, if you have less than $75,000 adjusted gross income, not salary, adjusted gross income. So you're going to have to look back at your tax return to determine what your adjusted gross income was for 2018 or 2019. Then you qualify for this and you should get $1,200. If you're a single filer, that means typically you don't have any dependents, you don't have any kids, so you don't have to worry about that. And then this phases out at $99,000. So if you're between that $75,000 and $99,000, that means that you'll get an incremental amount until you reach $99,000, and then you don't get anything. All right, if you're a head of household, you get the $1,200 up to $112,500 for each of your qualifying child, not just, regular kids. If you know taxes, then there's special definitions for a qualifying child. I'm not going to go into that right now, but definitely look that up. If it's your biological kid or a kid that lives in the house with you, most of the time they're gonna qualify. And then you get $500 for each one of your kids, and then this phases out at $146,500. If you're married filing jointly, then you get $2,400, basically $1,200 for you and your spouse, and that's up to $150,000 AGI. This phases out at $198,000. Once again, you get $500 for each kid. So normally in some situations, there's people who have back taxes, they owe money back to the IRS, or they have student loans that are in garnishment. So like if you're one of those people who file at the end of the year and the government usually takes your money, you don't have to worry about this for the stimulus package. They have waived that. The only exception is if you have back child support. That will prevent you from getting your stimulus. All right. And then there's a calculation that goes all the way into it. So if you are between that threshold number, then it shows you how to calculate that. All right. So, the biggest section that I want to spend time on today is the new unemployment insurance rules under this act. Once again, section listed there is 2102. And basically, the CARES Act has extended unemployment for 13 weeks. So, normally in most states, it is 26 weeks. This takes it up to 39 weeks. So, if you're currently receiving unemployment before anything happened with COVID-19, then you are eligible to potentially be able to extend the amount of time that you would be on unemployment. Additionally, this act includes an additional $600 per week for anyone who receives unemployment for a 4-month period. It's basically there's extra things going on people need to pay for, and so because of that, they threw this in there. There was a lot of talk about this part of the act because some Congress members were nervous that basically with this additional $600, some people would basically make more money on unemployment than they would in their regular job. And so with that, I wanted to make sure and mention that because they're probably going to have very strict rules in place to be able to double check and make sure people aren't just quitting their jobs to get unemployment. And then they're waiving the initial waiting period. So sometimes you have to wait a week or two before you can apply for unemployment, but they're waiving that. That's regular unemployment. The really nice thing about this act is the provision for the non-traditional people who are now able to get unemployment. So people who are not typically able and eligible to get unemployment now can get unemployment. And basically those individuals are people who are now unable to work as a direct result of the corona public health emergency. And that's important to notate because it's like directly as a part of the act, but also because, like I said, I'm sure they're going to be watching this pretty closely. But if you are a clergy, a religious employee, a freelancer, a furloughed employee, a gig worker like an Uber driver or a Lyft driver, self-employed and independent contractor, if you own your own business, you work for yourself, you have no other employees, it's just you, then more than likely you're eligible to apply for this temporary pandemic unemployment. And basically the way that this is going to work is that you're going to have to apply through your state's unemployment department. And so each state has its own, different provisions and how this works. And just really quickly, let me note that this does not include individuals who can work from home. So just because you're now working from home and you used to work in an office, you do not qualify for unemployment, which, should be maybe duh, but they specifically mention that. Each process by the state varies. You do have to agree to some type of self-certification language explaining why you're unable to work. And they're going to have some penalties for fraud for this. So I don't want to mention the penalties to scare you. I just want to put them out there because it is what it is. But at the same time, like if you just go back, like this is a really good opportunity for a lot of gig workers. I think about like our barbers, our hairstylists, our photographers, our artists, all these different people who are not able to travel. A lot of people are still on the stay at home. And so this presents an opportunity for them to be able to make up for some of their income. And so the way this works is they would get that additional $600 a week for the 4 months plus half the average state unemployment benefits. So like I said, that depends on your state. I don't know how much that could be, but I mean, it's better than zero for sure. Yeah. All right. So just really quickly, some tax deductions. So they're trying to encourage more people to donate to charity. So for those, you could itemize. Typically, you don't get a deduction above the line, which is like before you get to your AGI. They're offering a one-time $300 above the line tax deduction for people who typically do not itemize. So if you get the standard deduction, if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. I'm sure your accountant, your CPA, your person who does your taxes does. And if not, then, your TurboTax, your taxact.com, whoever you do your taxes with, they'll know. But if you do itemize, then they have temporarily lifted the charitable contribution limits, which is currently set at 50% of AGI. I am not a tax person, so I'm going to leave that right there. Like I said, the sections are listed for you if you want to go check those out. All right, so the next topic is student loans. So previously, this is like the third economic stimulus package that has been passed. I don't know if you know that. I didn't know that. But anyway, so this is like the third one. So with this one, the student loans previously, with number 2, the loan payments just got the interest were deferred for 6 months. I'm sorry, this says loan payments, but it was actually just the interest that got deferred for 6 months. So if you look at your student loans, you'll see that it says 0% interest. Those interest payments have been decreased. But something new that happened with the CARES Act that is going to be coming down the pipeline very soon is that they passed an automatic suspension of some, and I wanted to highlight that it says some, student loans for 6 months. That means through September 30th. For the sum, my understanding is that it's all the student loans that are held through the Department of Education. So if your loans are with the Department of Education, meaning with the federal government, then you're likely eligible here. And then along with that, interest is going to be waived once again. And then if you have any wage garnishments that are currently in effect, those will be stopped for this period as well. Additionally, it's not on the slide, but my understanding is if you are like a nonprofit worker and you're working to basically you're in that program to get rid of your loans, that each one of these payments, these 6 months, will continue to count towards that. We'll stop there because there's just a lot of nuances in a lot of these little things. And so just overview, like I said, section 3513, go check it out and see what you find out. All right, so just really quickly, I'm not going to go into this one a lot because the Payroll Protection Program is a whole session all by itself, but I did want to mention it. So for small businesses, if you are a sole proprietor, it's one of you, then, I mean, you have options. You definitely could do one of the loans that was released under the CARES Act, but you also could potentially do the unemployment. Of course, you have to pick one or the other. You can't do both. But they do have a payroll protection loan program for small businesses. It's an existing loan program for small businesses, but this new act has expanded it to include nonprofit organizations, independent contractors, and self-employed individuals. Like I said, we're not going to go too deeply into that, but I would encourage you to look at section 1102. You can get a loan for up to 2.5 times your monthly payroll, and the loan can be forgivable in certain situations. Alrighty. And then just like some really quick things, human services. So basically the Emergency Food and Shelter Program, they got $200 million. The Supplemental National Assistance Program, SNAP, aka food stamps, they got $15.5 billion. The Emergency Food Assistance Program also got $450 million. The reason that I wanted to include that as a part of this discussion, just really quickly, I don't know a lot about it, is because pride is something else, okay? And there are going to be a lot of us who are hurting and who need support. And I wanted to make sure and highlight that there is support available. And this is an unprecedented time. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how long things are going to be, what they are. So, there's support, there's things there to help out. So I wanted to note that. And that is in section 6002. All right, so finally, just contact information. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing is a limited time. I'm going to do some free COVID-19 15-minute consultations. Basically, I'm really thinking about my small business owners. I have an affinity towards them. They're usually the ones that I work with in a small business setting. A lot of our small and startup businesses just don't have access to the same level of services as our larger businesses and, a lot of our veteran business. And I feel like those businesses are the ones at risk the most. I also have been a part of conversations and heard, other accountants and CPAs using this time as a way to build their business. And, no shade, no, it is what it is. But I feel like as humanity right now, it's the time to come together and help one another. And so obviously, I have responsibility to family and to, my community. And I want to give back by offering these consultations. So if you're interested in having a 15-minute conversation just to see like what you should do for your business or talk through even some of the individual things, then please go to my website, ProfessorNance.com. At the top, you can see book online. Click that, and then you'll see the option for this COVID-19 free 15-minute consultation. You can schedule it there. If you have any questions, send me an email at prof@ProfessorNance.com. And also feel free to text me at the number anytime. You can call me, but most of the time, yeah, it's very busy right now. So I would advise that you text me. If you have not already looked me up on social media, please definitely do that. I think I just want to close with saying that this is a time for all of us to come together. And, we don't know what's going to happen. A lot is going on. We're homeschooling. We're, wearing 50 hats that we were not wearing previously. But I think this is also a really good opportunity for us to come together, build businesses, build relationships, and build community. And so as opposed to closing out with a dance and the normal way we close out, I just want to close out by sharing just lots of love and letting you all know that you're not alone. We're all in this together. We're all experiencing this this unprecedented moment in history together. And hopefully it's going to be a time for us to reflect back on and remember that time we survived the COVID-19 pandemic and we came out and emerged bigger and better than ever. And that's it. Once again, if you have any questions, please leave them below. Send me an email, contact me, and I'll be happy to answer as much as I can. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.